Hello, one and all, and welcome to my first Scrabble stream of 2018. And it comes to you not quite live from Arden in Chicago. We are streaming from London, England, but not in Chicago. I've got some lovely people who are going to send me the racks, and we are going to cover some of the remaining games from the Arden Cup. Now, for those of you who don't know what the Arden Cup is, the Arden Cup is named after the late Robert Dent. He was a tournament director for the Chicago Scrabble Club. He founded this tournament, and sadly he passed away in 2006. So this is now the 17th year of the event, and as times have moved forward, the event has progressed to having a Collins division. Collins being the International Dictionary. Hopefully !Collins in the chat, that should give you something. But anyway, we are hopefully about to commence. And I will get some racks through, and then we can start making some games happen. So, I've been told that the first game will be Robinsky versus Aaron Bader. I don't know much about the players. I wish I knew more. But I can say their current positions in the standings, as you probably saw. Rob Robinsky is currently second in the division. He's on 2.5 wins plus 274 spread. He's the number 1 seed in this event. And his opponent is currently 3rd in the division. He's 2-1 plus 235. And he's the 5th seed out of 8. So Rob's tie or draw, depending on how you wish to call it. It was against Randy Goldberg. Ties are super rare in Scrabble. Because nobody really plays for a tie, it's not that fun. Unless you need it. Can't say I've ever come across a point where I'm happy with a tie. You either want to win or you want to lose. And unfortunately Scrabble is one of those games where you can end in a tie. So, I've got up Aaron Bader's cross tables stats. It looks like he hasn't played any recent tournaments. Whatever the definition of recent tournaments is, I have no idea. But the last time he played a tournament was in 2015, and that was his only CSW event. And that was his first tournament back from a 7-year break. He's performed quite well in his last recent tournament. He finished 3rd out of 6, winning 3 and 4. Who knows, he may have been secretly putting in the practice the last couple of years, just like I am. He'll take another 7-year break, and then before you know it, he'll suddenly be a world champion. Or maybe American national champion, whichever comes first. So we are still waiting on the racks. I'm told they're coming. You know, get communication, long distance between the USA and America and England was never a good thing. We're probably still like telegram machines or something. They might be coming through on Morse code, who knows. But there they are starting to come in, and the first rack, I am just putting into my magical machine now, and we are off. So Rob's first rack is pretty clunky. It's got a lot of high value consonants on, and that makes it really difficult to play words. You're not looking at anything very long here. You have to get rid of 2 of the consonants, and it seems like Rob has immediately played Yo-Mim with the M on the star. Not sure if it's horizontal or vertical yet. I know lots of players like playing that way. Not many players are Verties, exclamation mark Bertie in the chat. And it's quite rare to see Verties. There aren't many of them about, but when they do show up, those Verties are cunning people. So Alan's drawn a really good first rack. It's a really good first rack. Where's my drum roll sound effect? I think I've misplaced it. So he's got the fairly obvious fairest for a simple 7 that goes directly under Yo-Mim, which scores 78 points. He will be looking for a double-double here. That O is very nicely positioned in the middle. Unfortunately, the F, being a higher value consonant, is slightly more clunky. It's slightly, it makes it more difficult to get bonuses in, but these players are very high up. And he hasn't seen the double-double, he's missed Fator's. That is quite hard to see. But he plays Misgraft for 89 points, which is the second best player, the second highest scoring. It's only 1 point fewer than Fator's, but taking out that double-double and not leaving the S as a as a floater to end a word with. That's kind of, sorry, I'm multitasking here. Can't talk and type at the same time. So we see Rob's rack. Is very clunky. So, despite Rob's clunkiness, his one vowel, his multiple high scoring consonants, he finds a 50-point play. He plays advisors, and that is what he's looking to do with this kind of rack. He needs to score, he needs to get back after the bonus, and he needs to find a way to keep at it, keep with his opponent. Aaron seems to be having the good luck for this game. He's drawn the second blank. And immediately, you know, he'll be looking back to that double-double. Unfortunately, he did miss Fator's. He'll be looking down at the T as well. I'm sorry, oh. This is so confusing. I'm not getting good information here, I'm sorry. So, Aaron does find a bonus. There are plenty of them. He plays Peignoir. That will be a pain for Rob because his opponent has now used both blanks in the first 2 turns of the game. And despite that, he is relatively close in score. He's very fortunate to have gotten that 50-point play of Advisors. So Rob's right, it's still clunky, it's still horrible. He has drawn the U for the Q, but there's not very much on offer. Quirt, Q-U-I-R-T, probably one of the better plays, because it does, even though it leaves a very clunky JGW, it's a good score, but because you've got the UQ synergy, you may want to keep it to maximise the Q later on, and Rob decided to play Jew. It scores 26, so it's just 2 points less than Quirt, but the rack lead is a lot more synergic. He's just relying on that Val pickup. So Aaron's drawn once again a very nice looking rack. It's got all the tiles you want. it's got low scoring consonants, which is what you really want in a bonus. You don't want consonants that are too clunky that you can't make words with, or that you struggle to make words with, because all of these letters, the C's, the D's, the G's, they can go anywhere in words, but when you've got stuff like V's and W's, usually they don't end up at the end of a word. So immediately if I was Aaron, I'd be looking at the vowels on the board, because he's only got 2 on his rack, so he's looking for E's, I's, ideally because they go best with what he has. So he'll be looking at the E of peignoir and the I of Yomim and miscraft, and he'll be trying to make something fit. Now, there is no bonus. Crockle Speedy Player is suggesting gonadic. That is very pretty. It does give a massive score comeback. Under row 10 though. But I've been told he does play Credo. That reminds me of a semi-Fredo, or half a chocolate bar, if you're from the UK. It does score 26 points, but what's important is that it takes out the triple line. Aaron is now he's almost 100 points ahead. He's 83 points ahead, and he's looking to try and, even this early in the game, try to lessen the chance for Rob to get some points back. He doesn't want his opponent to get so many easy points, because if his opponent gets easy points, he's not getting the easy points. And if your opponent's scoring too much, you might not score as much, and everything could go wrong very quickly. So Rob will be looking to take advantage of the Q and the U. Unfortunately, he's drawn another U, and he can't get rid of both at once. There aren't many hotspot opportunities on this board. But he is looking at the O of Yomim, which provides a nice 30-point opportunity. And that would be Quarto. Speedy Player doesn't seem to value it. It seems to value Key a lot more. I don't like Key at all. Quarto is fine. You know, you're playing 5 tiles, even though you're turning over a lot of tiles, which is what you don't want to do. You want to try and draw some of those E's, some of those S's that are somehow left, that Aaron hasn't picked up yet. You want to try and make sure that you're going to pick up some letters, because you need to win this game, as you do every game. But especially when you're a tournament leader, you need to lead games and all that mumbo jumbo stuff. So once again, Aaron's drawn a really nice looking rack. It's so nice, and I don't know what to do with it. It's full of all these really nice letters, all the kind of letters you want, just not together. And that makes it difficult to know what to do, because even though you have 1 and 2 point tiles on your rack, if they don't go well together, your chance of getting a high score kind of decreases. It becomes harder to score the high 20s, the 30 points, if you're looking at a rack that just isn't full of tiles that you can score with. So a lot of players prefer 1 point tiles because they know their bonuses, but players like me prefer the clunky tiles because they don't bonus as much, and it gives them the opportunity to score those 30s and 40s, and it really puts your opponent under pressure when you know how to play and score 30s and 40s kind of every single turn. So Aaron has played Pong, which as a move does not stink. It's one of the best moves on the board. It leaves all the floaters floating. Hopefully exclamation mark floater in the Twitch chat. Hopefully I've set that one up. It leaves all the right letters you want. They're not complicated. They're not clunky. So you've got the best opportunity to get a bonus and then further increase your lead. So Robbed Rack is far from a bonus. Very, very far from a bonus. It is. It's got 2 H's and a G, and unless you know words like AARRGHH, which this rack isn't, it's not close. It's not close to anything. So you're looking to ditch 2 of HHG. Now, unfortunately, for all those people called Hugh out there, you can't have Hugh. So, because you've got an S as well, you're looking to use the S because on this board, it's not useful. So whenever an S isn't useful on a board, you always consider using it, even if you need it to score points. So he plays I'm going to pretend I know what that means, and just click submit, and then wait for something slightly more interesting to happen. So after Aaron's very nice play that left his really nice tiles, he's drawn a nice selection of letters. My dad would immediately cough here and say Arsenal, but there's a D, so he's not gonna quite get Arsenal, is he? And Aaron does find the only bonus. You are looking at consonant floaters here to begin with. You're always looking for the ones that make up the letters of retains. So you'd be looking at the R's, the T's, the I's, before you look at everything else. Just speed-wise, you're looking for that. But you also want to focus on areas of the board where you score points. And unfortunately for Rob, he's falling further and further behind. And not much is getting better from his point of view. He's not got the E's that he needs to bonus. Now, the reason I say E's is because E is the most common letter in the English alphabet. It appears most frequently in words, and ideally you want to have E's in words to make more common bonuses. Now, a lot of the words on this board don't contain E's. We've only had 2 E's come out right now and a blank used as an E. And it's still incredibly difficult to make words that don't have E's in them. You try playing Scrabble without E's, it's hard and rough, and you need to increase the vowel ratio. So Rob here plays Tithe. It's a nice parallel play. It does take out the floating QU, which, to be fair, isn't that useful. He's looking to score points. This is one of the best opportunities he has with this rack. Maybe a play like Tahina is slightly better because it creates different floaters. It uses up more tiles, gives him a better opportunity of picking that E. Now, an E for him does not guarantee a bonus. It's just more likely that he will have a bonus if he's somehow able to pick what looks to be his second E of the game. So Aaron's rack has gone from nice to not quite so nice. It's got 3 E's on it, and you don't really want duplicates on your rack because they're not so great. So he'll be looking to get rid of at least 3 of his vowels with this move. He'll be looking to get rid of 2 E's and an O, because you always want to get rid of the duplicates when you're trying for bonuses. Not that Aaron really needs to try for bonuses, but you need to make sure that the fewer duplicates you have, the easier it is to make bonuses. Because let's face it, how many bonuses do you know with 4 U's in them? And if you said moo-moos, no, that doesn't count, because everyone knows moo-moos. But you're incredibly unlikely to pick up 4U bonuses, unless somehow you're some kind of weird Scrabble fairy. So what kind of moves here get rid of the O and the 2 E's? Well, there's no G for Ogi. I mean, you're not going to score 5 points from Peignoir, which is a pain again. And it's really hard to score with vowels because all vowels are 1-pointers. So, in a way, you may be looking to keep the O, because your priority is getting rid of the duplicates, the 2 E's, the awkward letters. And, oh, look at that double, that's so pretty. That would be the play right there. Étagère. I can't remember what it means, but it's so pretty. It doesn't give anything away, étagère. It limits the floating S. It scores points. It increases your lead, so you've got a bonus cushion. And it gets rid of tiles. And when you've got the lead, especially mid-game, you want to start using up all those tiles in the bag. Because if you start using up the tiles in the bag, your opponent's going to have fewer tiles to be able to make their bonuses from. And if your opponent doesn't have the tiles to make their bonuses from, well, poor opponent, right? So Rob's rack is still looking very duplicate heavy. He's not really had a great rack this whole game. Usually players judge their great racks by the amount of bonuses they play, and most top level players will average upwards of 2 bonuses a game, sometimes 2.5, maybe even 3. They're just that good. But Rob needs to start thinking about what he's going to do now. He's losing tiles in the pool to catch up, and he's also falling behind on score just a little. He is 85 points behind, so it hasn't really changed from about 6 turns ago, but he is concerned that it's not getting any smaller. So he plays Nine. Sounds Scottish. Speedy player does prefer Nan. I think Speedy player is hungry, that's why it prefers Nan. But I mean, for me, they both kind of come out equal. So Aaron's got a really nice rack again. He's got a really nice 1-point rack. He's got the P, which is it's one of the better consonants to have. And immediately he's going to be looking to that S in Misgraft. Why? Well, the S of Misgraft or Adrenals. And he'll be looking at that because satire is one of the best 6-letter stems in Scrabble. And with the CSW 15 update, it did get another 8 letters down. We've got lots of new 8-letter words, and this particular rack goes with an S in the new update. And if you're playing Oxford, it's got another anagram, but that's not in Scrabble. So Aaron finds the only playable bonus at Septoria, which is Protesi plus an O. And if you're a Protesi like me, you need to start learning your Protesi bonuses. Because if you don't, well, you're not a true Protesi. So Rob's now staring at a 126 point deficit. The board is quite tight. There are only 21 tiles in the pool, and he needs 2 bonuses, and that's not going to happen with this rack, unfortunately. He somehow managed to acquire 3 E's again, and there's not much you can do with 3 ears. 3 ears. 3 E's. Who needs 3 ears, right? Because there aren't many floaters on the board as well, it becomes harder for your opponents to find those 8-letter words. You're looking to end a word on this board in R, or you're looking to play through the S of adrenals, and where those 2 tiles are positioned, they're not the best. It's actually really hard to end an 8-letter word in R, just because agent nouns, or words that end in ER, not words that end in IER, because those are like, I'm not very good on my English stuffs, but they are basically not the best. And as the word gets longer, it becomes harder to make those kind of words appear suddenly on your rack, which is what most of mine do. So Rob is definitely thinking quite long and hard about this play, and it is quite a challenging play because he's trying to think of a way to use a few tiles, make almost a second opening on this board. He needs to score some points at the same time. He needs to make sure he's not going to get blocked next turn. He needs to stop Aaron from scoring. There's so much that he needs to think about, and not all of those almost targets that I've laid out for the move are achievable. And most of the time when he's either looking to open up the board really, really dramatically, or he's just going to play in a tight little corner somewhere and not open anything new out, but also not close anything old down. And when you're behind, if you start closing down the floaters, the lanes, your opponent's going to be really happy, because it's one less stress that they have to deal with. It's one less turn they have to spend blocking up a board. So Rob plays Ide here. I can't really blame him. It is a tough choice. It scores some of the most points, short of something like this, but this burns up way too many tiles. So Aaron's rack is looking slightly more ugly. But he won't care. He doesn't need a really pretty rack right now. All he needs is a rack that's going to get the job done. He's looking to start closing this game out, closing the board down. And he's looking to split up the U and the V more than anything. So his first thought is to take off the A of Septoria. That is the highest scoring bonus spot on the board, short of Rob having miraculous letters. So he plays Uvia here. Uvia over Uve. And I always prefer Uvia just because any play your opponent makes, if they play a bonus here, down the end column, you're going to get the triple back. And you always want to think, if I do this and my opponent does this, what do I get back? Does my opponent get back? Do they give me back a nice, easy 30-point scoring opportunity? Or do they not give me anything? Do they make me really have to think about my next turn? Do they make me struggle to come to a reasonable decision for my next turn? You've always got to think about what kind of plays your opponent can do and how those plays are going to affect you. And you don't have to think about specific words, you just need to think about specific areas of the board. You have to think about how accessible they are, how inaccessible they are. All that complicated stuff. So Rob does have some nice scoring letters, but he doesn't need scoring letters, he needs bonuses. And he's not anywhere close to a bonus. We've still got 2 B's, an F, an X and a W left. Even though we've got one little stem of retain left, it's not much use if you're not being able to do anything. And that is a pretty play. Look at that. The Women's Auxiliary Army Corporation, or the WAC. Most of these words rhyme. Whack, Mac, Jack. But Rob doesn't see Whack, he only sees Creek. Now I quite like Whack. That's pretty. But I think at this point in the game Rob has almost resigned himself to a loss. It's incredibly hard, especially given his luck this game, to try and pull a win from somewhere. And at this point you kind of want to start closing out the game, trying not to lose any more spread points, because spread is always important. You don't want to, start losing spread points willy-nilly, because tournaments have been decided on a handful of spread points. One penalty challenge, and then suddenly you've lost the tournament. And it is crazy. So Aaron's rack has a lot of the nice letters, and that's kind of what he wants to pick up right now. He does want to take the X as well, but all he really wants is the letters that Rob wants. Just the really nice stuff. Doesn't matter if it's clunky. As long as Rob doesn't get a bonus, Aaron is running away scot-free. So at this point he's looking to take out the floaters. He's looking to make sure that Rob doesn't get that bonus. That puts him within 30 points. Because if Rob gets a bonus and then draws the X, gets a 40-point X play, the game is tied and he may end up having the leg up in the end game. So you're really looking to either play something in the same direction as Adrenal, so along row 5 or 7. Maybe something through the R of Septoria or parallel to Septoria. Or maybe something I haven't seen yet. But ideally you want to start taking out the floaters. So he plays Pheno for 14. It doesn't change the board dynamics at all. And he still has a really good rack, so in a way that's a fine play. And if Rob does bonus, he's got some nice letters to come back with. But I do like me a tight game. So So let's see where it takes us. So right now we know 6 okay, we've got Rob's rack. Sorry about that. Of course he doesn't have a third M. No third M's for you. So Rob's now drawn the horrible U and W, and every single last glimmer of hope has been extinguished. And it's not too great. So he's kind of just got to hope for the best. It's interesting to see how Speedy Player values a change of 7 here. There are 8 tiles in the bag, and they are really nice tiles. They're much better than what he's got. But he does play whale. So he really has given up hope here. He's blocking the last of the floaters. He doesn't want Aaron to get any more points of spread on him than he already does. And he's just trying to close this game out without suddenly losing everything. Without losing, you know, more spread points. So still, Aaron's got all the nice letters. Got too many nice letters. How dare he have all the nice letters? And of course, he's still just looking to play. He needs to make sure that he does leave one in the bag in case by some miracle Rob manages to bonus, because he doesn't want to get caught with the X. Because he might lose the game at that point. So he's played boat. That's pretty much what you want to do. Play max 4 tiles, score some points. He's taken out the S, which is one of the last remaining floaters. It hasn't blocked column N, but because there is one in the bag and he has the turn in hand, if he does pick up the X, he'll more than likely get a really, really nice score from it. But as we know, Rob, he's not got one single nice letter, has he? He's got maybe 2 really nice letters. And it's just not very good on this board, is it? I mean, they're just really clunky 1-pointers, and you know, anything he does, because he's got vowels and consonants that are really easy to parallel with, especially considering that X, he's got to think about what he's doing. Also, he'll be looking at the pool that's left and thinking, what if Aaron has a bonus here? What if he has one that goes down? And you know what he does? Okay, let me get these racks straight up. Ooh. There we go. This is not in fact Rob's rack. He's got another N. His rack is all noun and no verb. It's still pretty awful, whatever I said. but it still applies. It's still pretty awful, and you know, he's kind of just playing and pretending that it's not as painful as it is. He's played a non for 17 points, probably one of the best scores on this board. He doesn't really care what he leaves. The only difference is Aaron didn't have the possibility of re-index. So Aaron's now looking at a nice rack. It's got the X on it. I mean, he's won the game. He's just looking to play that X now to score some points and to not give anything back to Rob. To not let him, you know, he just doesn't want to do something stupid, basically. Just don't do something stupid. It's kind of all you hope for, really, at the end of the game. No stupidity. Because you don't want to lose the game on stupidity. When you do that, you know you're a true Scrabbler. So because Aaron's looking to ditch the X, you're immediately looking at column N, because you do have the possibility of playing a word making the two-letter word XU. Because the word ibex has been suggested by Speedy Player, it also goes at 5J. Now you wouldn't want to play the one at 5J because then Rob would play doll on top of it. So let's see what ibex looks like. If we have doll on top of it, you've got ARE and you can't maximize the ox part. So the two-letter word ox, you can't maximize this M3 square. And you wouldn't want to do N4 ibex either because it gives back loud down here. So in a way, do we consider keeping the X? Well, let's see. I've just asked Championship Player because she's so nice. And she has suggested that ibex gives the best valuation. So when we talk about Quackle, or Quackle, and its valuations at endgames, it's about how many points you earn. So ibex at 5J earns the most points overall from this endgame. Now Aaron doesn't seem to be going for points for this endgame. He doesn't want any points. He just doesn't want points. And he's gone for XI now. I can understand why he's done that. But if Quackle doesn't valuate it out as best, then I'm inclined to agree with Quackle. And it's not as great. So usually at the end of games like this, it becomes same old, just playing words, because there's nothing to really think about at this point. There's no reason to really think too hard about it. You're not you're not going to win or lose the game at this point. It's already been won and it's already been lost. And you just need to play out and, stop the spread going really terrible. So Aaron plays Bard. That scores 16 points. Of course he wants to maximise his pointage, if only that was a word. It looks like Gear and Gare come out better than Bard. A lot of the times you'll find that burning your high point consonants are the best outplays, but in this case, because gear and gear, oh, that's fancy with prayed. Because this scores so many points more, that lessens the, you lose less points. You lose more points, but you have more points at the end of it. So that makes it a better play. Just like count back and stuff. Rob goes out with Uviel, and the game is over with Aaron winning with a score of 4-4-8, 2-3-4-6. And congratulations to Aaron. I didn't get those in the right order, did I? No, he didn't score that low. There we go. And yeah, that's quite a weird game to start with. It was extremely one-sided. As the victor, that's how you want all your games to be. As the loser, that's how you wish your games were never. When you're a victim of these one-sided games, time to go in a corner and sulk for about 5 minutes. But as we all know, it's not the tiles you get that determines the winner of the game, it's how you use them. And despite Aaron getting both blanks and half of the yeses, he still had to use the tiles as well as he was able. So, now the game is over, we will await the next game. We will take a quick break, and I will see everyone again when the next round starts.